Today, I'm going to talk about game jams and how to set you up for success. Of course, I'm going to be coming at it from the production side of things. So I'm going to be talking about the development phases, the timeline, tools you can use, who should be doing production, and more. In short, we're kind of going to be doing a roadmap, but for a game jam. Hi, I'm Jen Sandercock, and this is Jen's Generally Good Game Production Advice. In this advice column, I respond to questions from game developers from all different disciplines. Today's question comes from the organisers behind the Power Up Game Jam. Here's the question. Production during game jams is often overlooked. How would you project manage a game jam? Well, I love talking about this sort of thing. So let's start at the beginning. A game jam is where you're going to make a game in a very short period of time, usually 48 hours. And what's the most important thing to get right in that? Finish the game. That's right. Well, actually, maybe not. There are many other reasons for why you might want to do a game jam, no matter what you're trying to get out of it. If you have good production in your game jam, then you're going to be able to achieve your goals better. How can production help? Well, one of the key goals of a producer is to ship games on time. So hey, I'm here for you. Producers look at everything that's needed and try to predict when you're going to finish. So what are the essential things to do? How do those things get done? And who's actually doing that work? Let's get right into it. But before we get right into it, what should your team be doing before the game jam even starts? Well, you should decide which engine you're going to be using, what version control system you're going to use so that people don't overwrite each other's code. You should figure out how you're going to track your tasks and who your playtesters are going to be. If you're at an in-person game jam, you can just ask other participants to play your game and you can play their game. But if you're doing an online game jam, you should line up friends who'll be able to play at some point over the weekend. What should your team be doing during the game jam? Well, there are different phases of making games and there's different things that are due at the different phases. Here's the big picture version, and we're going to look at each of these phases in detail. So first up, brainstorming. What are you going to make? The big deliverable here is the single design idea. If you can't narrow it down, maybe 2 would be okay. Prototyping phase. Is your idea any good? So you take those design ideas and you might need to do a thought experiment or a paper prototype. Usually if you have more time, you might actually start putting code in or making things happen, but you may not have time for that. At the end of prototype phase, you should have a clear idea of what you want to build. Next up is the prep for production phase. Make sure you know what you're going to be doing and how you're going to do the bulk of your work. This is one of my favorite phases since it's where a lot of the production groundwork is laid down. So, based on your prototype, you should be able to figure out your art style, your feature list, hopefully very short, if not just a single item, audio requirements, big picture tasks that need to be done. Along with that information, you also need to figure out how your team's going to build the game. There are many different ways to build a game. I personally like to talk about vertical versus horizontal development. In vertical development, you do all of a feature, level, area to get it to a really good, almost shippable level of quality. And then you work on the next one and so on. In horizontal, you do a little bit of everything and then you polish on it. You can also do a hybrid version. Check out my previous blog post that goes into detail about what these different things are. For game jams, all of the approaches probably have merits, but it's going to depend on what sort of game you're building and what your team is comfortable with, what your goals are for the game jam, and more. With the information about how you're going to build the game, then you can confirm phase names that are going to work for you, phase deliverables and builds that are going to be important for you all. Next, set up your task board with the big picture, backlog, key deliverables, and initial tasks for the first thing on Saturday. Use that information that you've got about how you're going to build the game to put in the big blobs of focus. Don't put in the details right now because things are going to change and also you're probably going to run out of time. Before leaving this phase, make sure that you kind of do a little bit of a sanity check. Look at all of the things you're trying to put into your task board. Is that too much stuff? Will you ever finish in time? The production phase is where all of the bulk of the work gets done. It's where you execute on your plan and you actually make the game. I think things go most smoothly when you work on the features first and then set up a way to pump out assets. So midway through production, you should be feature complete. That means no more new gameplay mechanics. And then you spend the rest of the time working on content that's going to help those features shine. During production, I probably recommend to work in 2-ish hour sprints. That is, choose something to focus on. Try to do that, check in, reassess, and then choose a new area of focus and keep repeating. When you're doing that check-in, you should make that a little mini team meeting. Ask people one at a time, what have you done? What hasn't been done? Why not? Do you want to keep doing it or give up? What do you expect to get done in the next section of time? What do you need from others and to discuss? Giving up should not be negative. It is hard to admit failure, but in doing so, you're going to stay focused on actually getting stuff done and finding more achievable tasks and getting something good. At the end of the production phase, you should release your alpha build. An alpha build should have all of the key game content in, but it may not look great and it probably has a lot of big bugs. At this point, you also need to make sure you have a tutorial or controller map in so that people can know how to play your game without you telling them outside of the game. Alpha phase is about intense bug fixing and polish. So this is where a lot of stuff's going to start happening all at once in a short period of time. Start with playtesting and maybe get somebody on your team to be a dedicated QA person at this point onwards. Everybody else is going to be bug fixing and polishing assets. Make sure you add in credits and a title screen. At the end of alpha phase, you're going to have a beta build. So a beta build may still have some bugs in it, but everything should be mostly looking okay. In beta phase, you're going to be focusing on those big bugs that block progress of players or crash the game entirely. And you're also going to be prepping for upload. So why should you only focus on the big bugs? Well, if you start doing some of the little bugs, you're like, oh, just fix this one thing. You could break a lot of other things. At the end of beta, you're going to have your release build. This is what you're actually going to be shipping. It should only have minor bugs if possible. During this phase, don't forget to gather all of the information that you might need for your Game Jam's official website or needs. So that's usually team information, game screenshots, a video, description of what the game is, and so on. The final phase is upload and launch. People often overlook budgeting time for this, but if you don't upload your game, then maybe you kind of haven't really finished and shipped your game, right? Make sure you leave at least an hour to do this because other people are also going to be uploading and things may be a little bit slow. So, when are you doing this? What's your timeline? I'm going to assume the most common Game Jam timing, where a Game Jam starts with speeches on 6 p.m. Friday and all games have to be submitted by 12 p.m. Sunday. So if that's the case, then you should really be ready for production by the end of Friday night. That means brainstorming, prototype, prep for production, all done on Friday. Saturday is your main production phase. Late Saturday night, get your alpha build out and start testing it with people if you haven't already done that first. On Sunday, finish off your beta build by 9:30 a.m. and then get your release build by 11 a.m. for a 12 p.m. finish. This is what it kind of looks like, piecing it out with the different phases. How do you do all of the task tracking that you need, and what do people need to know for your tool? Well, at a minimum, they need to know when tasks are due so that they won't block somebody else, what the priority is on a task so that they know what to try to get onto next, who is doing the task so that people don't assume somebody else is doing it, and what the current status of a task is. If you're at an in-person game jam, you can create a physical task board. This is how I did it at a game jam in 2012. If you're online or just like how powerful online tools can be, just use your favorite production software that you already know already. Some easy to access software options include Notion, Trello, Miro, and if you must, Google Sheets. Whatever you choose, there's a lot of the prep work you can do for your task board before the game jam even starts. I personally love Notion. No, they're not paying me. I have created a template that you can use. If you want to use all of the deliverables and phases that I've already spoken about, you can just duplicate with content to your own workspace. My template also allows you to easily triage tasks by priority when you're getting to that thorny end of things and you're not going to be able to fit everything in. Note that Notion does cost money, but there are ways to avoid this. Who is doing all the production work that needs to happen? Having a dedicated producer is probably overkill unless you've got 8 or more people on your Game Jam team. For most teams, choose one person who wants to do that work as part-time work. That person shouldn't be the same person who has the core artistic vision for the game, because otherwise wishful thinking is going to become bad. If you're a game producer and you don't want to take on any other roles, or you're just starting out in your game production career and you just really want to get good at game production, you could offer to support multiple teams during the game jam. It's fairly common that audio people do this, so I really don't see why production can't also do this. What other tips are there for game jams? Well, don't forget to reduce scope as small as you possibly can do. Focus on getting one thing done okay-ish rather than perfection or many things. It is a short amount of time. Don't focus on doing things right or following my roadmap blindly. Just do whatever feels right for you and your team. Use your gut and try not to do the impossible. That's all we have time for today. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you'd like some advice, please ask me. Just go to jensan.com/askjen. Bye.